Hi there. My name is Branzy, and I am an insane person. Now you may be wondering why you're staring at my unkempt face instead of Minecraft blocky goodness. Well, I promise you there will be lots, and I mean lots, of Minecraft blocky goodness to come. Throughout my entire adult life, I have been a fairly impulsive person. I got my first tattoo because my friend said that it would look cool. I bought a house to spite a landlord that raised my rent. I even once left a job with a 10% match 401k and full health benefits to work at a company that forgets to process payroll sometimes.
So, you're dumb.
So it's really not surprising that when I watched a video by a small YouTuber named
Markiplier,
in which he attempted to take 100,000 steps in a single day, I was directly inspired and indirectly challenged to find something in my own life of the same caliber that I could attempt. And with that, I present to you the 100,000 blocks in 24 hours challenge, in which I will be, well, attempting to place 100,000 blocks in less than 24 hours. It's pretty straightforward. Now, my first step in accomplishing this goal was going to be determining if I could even physically place that many blocks in a single day. In a quick test, I determined that I could in fact place 10 blocks in 2.9 seconds. That equates to 3.4 blocks a second, or 12,413 blocks in an hour, or 297,931 blocks in a single day. So the challenge was possible. Almost
too possible.
So I decided that I needed to up the difficulty yet again. Not only would I place 100,000 blocks in a single day, I would do so productively. I would do so in an actual build. This would mean that I couldn't just randomly place blocks around this server. I had to do so by putting each block in the proper position as well. This would undoubtedly affect my total time. In fact, it would actually over double the theoretical completion time. But what kind of build would actually take a mountainous number of blocks like that? Well, a mountain. Wow. Using Litematica, I was able to get a copy of my base area from the EchoCraft SMP server and put it in a creative test world where I'd be able to use World Edit to build up this entire mountain design I was going to build, which is important when your design is going to include 100,000 blocks. Now, this is a very key element to what I've done here, because not only is Litematica going to make it far faster for me to be able to place blocks, it's also going to provide me the schematic to show me where to place specific blocks, as well as keep me from adding temporary blocks or scaffolding blocks to my end total. My next step was to prepare materials. And if you don't know, here's a scale of 100 blocks. Here's 10,000 blocks. And here's 100,000 blocks. And prepare materials I did. 59 shulkers of materials to be precise. And to be even more precise, that's 101,952 blocks worth of materials that I prepared for this challenge. But now that I had my materials, I had my build planned, and I knew that my task was achievable if I tried hard enough. I was feeling pretty confident in my task. So at 8:02 a.m. on November 27th, 2020, with coffee in hand, a pile of Thanksgiving leftovers in my fridge, and not a single responsible thing to do all day, I began placing blocks. I decided to build from the bottom to the top of this mountain to limit the amount of scaffolding I would need to use, and everything was actually going fairly smoothly for the first few hours, almost too smoothly. I even decided to take a break for some breakfast pie to celebrate such a great start. Oh, how naive I was. This false sense of confidence in my now seemingly novice goal would last until 1:48 p.m. The good news is we've made a ton of progress and we're building this giant mountain and it's going fantastically, almost better than I really could have imagined as far as placing 100,000 blocks. However, the problem is I've only placed like 30,000-ish and the mountain is almost done, which means we're gonna need a much bigger mountain. At this point in time, my confidence was feeble at best. I had only placed 30,000 blocks and I was 6 hours in. Now the goal still seemed achievable, yes. However, adding that large of an addition to my entire design was going to take precious time away from my allotted total. Nonetheless, I took to the test world yet again to add an expansive addition to the entire mountain design, confident now that this design would carry me through for the additional 70,000 blocks that I needed. And with that, my confidence was restored, so much so that I felt like I had just enough time for a lunch break. However, re-entering the EchoCraft server, a new worry had formed in the back of my mind. I might have overshot and might not have enough resources. Like, it may be well over 100,000 blocks now. Oh, what a fool I was. I had had such arrogant confidence that surely this new addition would put me over the top of my 100,000 block goal that I didn't even bother to use the count function to verify my estimations. Thus, I was essentially guessing at the block count that this new addition would provide me, and it would not be enough. Not nearly enough. As even after the expansion had been completed and the entire mountain I had designed was finished, I still needed an additional 50,000 blocks. Just halfway. That's it. That's all it is. It's 5 p.m. and I'm halfway. This was my low point. The point in this challenge where I didn't think that I would be able to get up from. And as I sat in this pit of self-loathing, I had to make a decision. Had I truly reached my limit? But looking down at the inspirational sweatshirt that I had inadvertently worn that day, I was reminded of a simple yet powerful truth. Your only limit is you. And I was not about to let me get in the way of myself accomplishing my goal. But there was still one limit that I could not overcome no matter how many inspirational sweatshirts that I wore. And that limit is how long I could go without food. And with a new sense of invigorating energy and optimism, I began work on this second mountain. For the next 3 hours, I placed over 30,000 blocks. This pace was outmatching any expectation that I had going into this challenge or anything that I had proven to this point. It was as if I had caught my second wind. However, the face of irresponsible planning would rear its ugly head yet again. It was 12:30 in the morning. I had built 2 separate mountains and had planned to build 3 separate times. And I still had 17,000 blocks left to go. It was apparent that my once surefire plan to get a good night's rest was now nothing more than a fleeting dream of which I yearned for achingly as I sat in a swarm of my own self-pity. I was frantic at this point. My mind was frying like an egg on a hot stone, and my creativity was down to but a few drops of what once felt like a vast ocean. I was out of ideas as to where I could even place another block. I even attempted negotiating with myself, saying things like, just start filling the empty hollow shells of these mountains until you hit your block total. But I began thinking back to a time all those hours ago where I began this now seemingly futile feat, to the reason I started this challenge. It wasn't just to randomly place blocks around the world, it was to do so methodically with purpose and to give them intended permanence. I couldn't take the easy way out. I I had to find a place for every one of those blocks. And that's exactly what I did. For the next hour, I meticulously planned out another expansion to my design. This time, however, there was a key difference in that I actually used the count feature to ensure that this would be the last redesign. This was the first time in this challenge that my confidence, however small, was actually justified. And I began placing those blocks. Block after block, placement after placement, hour after hour, until something that I had growingly thought to be impossible became reality. I had placed the 100,000th block. It was late, the house was quiet, but I was elated. I mean, I was so excited I could barely contain myself, right, Past Brandsy? It's 4:15 in the morning, and I'm done. 100,000 blocks in less than 24 hours. I'm gonna go to bed now. And a well-deserved rest indeed, I would say. For I could finally rest my hat on that rack of accomplishment. 100,000 blocks in 20 hours and 12 minutes. But in all seriousness, I was so excited and proud of myself for accomplishing this goal. I had set out to do something that day that required so much preparation and planning. Granted, the planning was very insufficient. And I mean, this challenge seemed attainable from the get-go, to be honest, but with all the redesigns, the fatigue and mental exhaustion and just pure boredom of placing blocks after blocks after blocks, there were several times in this process where I honestly thought of giving up and just pretending that this never happened and not making this video, but I honestly don't think that I would have been happy with myself if I didn't truly give it my best shot and to really push myself, and I'm so glad that I did. I had prepared a lot for this challenge and used every advantage that I could possibly think of in order to accomplish this goal. I had all my materials prepped before I even logged onto the server that day. I had used Lightmatica to help with placement of blocks and showing schematics. I had my build planned, quote, for the 5th time. Now, do I think that better planning on my part could have saved time? Unquestionably. Do I think that I could have placed more blocks and taken this challenge to even maybe 130,000 in 24 hours? Possibly. Do I think this challenge would be possible without any of the aforementioned advantages that I had? I wouldn't even want to know. So I'll leave it to you. Could you place 100,000 blocks in a single day? There's really only one way to find out. So I challenge you, the person watching this video, to take a day, a full day, and do nothing but place blocks in Minecraft. And if you pass that 100,000 block golden tier, then you have entered an extremely elite club of absolutely insane people like myself. Congratulations. And with that, famzy, I hope that you have enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to let me know down below. You guys know what to do. And as always, tune in for the next one.